What's your message to the team? Was it a moral victory?
No. I told the team, losing, it does never feel good. If you walked into this room right now and you have an ounce of feel good, this is not the play, that's not what we're about at all. In any way, shape, or that will never be what we're about. But we got better.
Welcome to the Burn City post-game show. I'm your host, Franklin Miller, joined by Burn City insider Brendan Mao. And Brendan, like Kenny Dillingham said after the presser, no moral victories as they lost to USC by a final score of 42-28. But the offense, they looked really good today with Kenny Dillingham calling plays.
Yeah, Franklin, I don't know if I ever seen a football game like what they just played. They had the running back, Cam Skattebo, take 2 punts. One of them was a fake in the first half. And then he also had a few more throws as well. One that was almost a touchdown that he just barely overthrew. But overall, he almost had like 250 combined all-purpose yards. He, in Kenny Dillingham's first game calling plays, was the huge bright spot for ASU's offense.
Yeah, man. Cam Skattebo, he did it all tonight for ASU on the ground, in the passing game, and as a receiver. So he had 111 yards rushing, 79 yards receiving, and 42 yards passing off a fourth down. Oh, and by the way, he punted. And he had the best punt of the game, by the way. But, I mean, you can't go as far as say, man, I mean, Skattebo looked like dang near a Heisman Trophy candidate tonight against the number 5 ranked team in the country. But with that being said, Kenny Dillingham did say that he thought his play calling, especially on first and second down, was a little bit spotty as it resulted into a lot of pressure from the offensive line play that was a little banged up for ASU as Pine took a lot of sacks today. But overall, this is a great step in the right direction for Kenny Dillingham's program moving forward.
Yeah, and going off of that, Franklin, Kenny Dillingham said after the game that tonight's sellout crowd is what activating the Valley looks like. So the Sun Devil crowd forced a lot of false starts by USC, and they were rowdy the whole night for this team that's now 1-3.
Yeah.
And is coming off of 3 disappointing losses to start the year. I just thought that was a big surprise in this game that the fans were this involved and this engaged, and the team felt it. I feel like everyone here in the stadium could feel it as well. So they made a huge difference and were a big part of why this game was so close.
But it was also, the stars were out tonight for ASU fan base as Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, was out there tonight, as well as ESPN analyst Ryan Clark cheering on his son, Jordan Clark, corner for the ASU Sun Devils. You also had Jalen Strong out here tonight, famous for the Jail Mary back in 2014, which happened against USC as well. You also had the ASU men's basketball team. You just name it. The list goes on and on. Everybody was out here tonight getting rowdy. It was the best sellout crowd that ASU has had in a while, I can say the least. And might not even just been because of Caleb Williams coming to town. It was because everybody was really excited to see what Kenny Dillingham could do against a top-notch program like USC.
Yeah, Franklin, and then going back to the field, the Sun Devil offense looked much better tonight. They entered tonight not having scored in 6 quarters. They scored in the first quarter right away, so that was a big step for them, especially since that came after the turnover, their first forced turnover the whole season. Mm-hmm. So the playmakers played well. We had Jalen Conyers have 5 catches for 71 yards, and then Elijah Badger highlighted the wide receiver core. So he had 9 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. So overall, the ASU offense looked much improved, and it's a building block to move forward on. And just what did you think about the defense?
Well, I thought the defense was a little bit up and down today, but I actually thought they contained Caleb Williams really, really well, even though he still had 5 total touchdowns. So you really can't really contain Caleb Williams, which is something Kenny Dillingham said in practice this past week. But I thought they played relatively well. I think the corners kind of struggled tonight, especially on goal balls. I thought Caleb Williams got them with their heads up in the clouds a little too much tonight, and then they failed to capitalize on those big play opportunities that could have resulted in either picks or pass breakups. One that I can really remember was on that 4th and 7 to Brennan Rice. Demetrius Ford, I felt like played it a little bit off, ended up diving at the end as well to make it a little bit worse than it should have been. But overall, I thought their worst plays of the game came on the ground game, which I thought was their best attribute today. Marshawn Lloyd finished the game with over 100 yards rushing, and I thought that was something that ASU's defense needs to crack down, especially when they play against Cal next week. But overall, I thought it was a bit up and down, and I thought that, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, Franklin, and next week they travel to play their first road game. They go to the Bay Area to face off against Cal, and they have a really good rushing attack led by Jaden Ott. So that'll be interesting to see how ASU's rush defense plays against them overall, and how can ASU keep it up. I mean, this was a huge, even though Kenny Dillingham wouldn't say it was a huge moral victory for the team because of how well they played compared to the first 3 games.
Yep, I agree. And obviously Cal lost today against Washington in a blowout fashion, so they're definitely going to want to come back hungry to play against the ASU team that they think that they can beat, and as well as ASU that they think that they can beat Cal. So it should be a good game next week, as it's going to be an earlier game, as that's a little different because they've been playing night games every night at 7:30, but they're going to be playing at 12 p.m. at Cal in the Bay Area. Follow us on social media at Burn City Sports on X and Facebook, as well as BurnCitySports.com, as we'll have updated stuff going for you at practice this upcoming week, going ahead to their first road game against Cal. Until then, I'm your host, Franklin Miller, joined by my good old friend, Brendan Mao, signing off at Mount America Stadium.